Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to lesson 21 in Aqeedah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa afdal salati wa tamu taslim ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wa ba'd, continuing in Sheikh Ahmed al-Marzuki's poem in Matters of Faith in the Massive Creed, the creed of believing in beliefs. We come to the next part of the poem, and this is about the 25 prophets mentioned. We continue with that. Shuaib, Harun, Musa, wa Yasa' al-Kifli, Dawud, Sulaiman, Taba'. So Shuaib al-Islam, Harun al-Islam, and Musa al-Islam, those are the prophets we're going to speak of today. Wal-Yasa', Dhul-Kifl, Dawood, Sulaiman, all followed. So this is, we begin with Prophet Shuaib al-Islam, and he was sent to the people of Madian. They were people who would commit highway robbery, so there was a path that was going past this merchant trade route, and they'd always commit crimes and steal and pillage from such traders and merchants. They were also from the mutaffifin, that they would do fraudulent activities in terms of trade, in terms of business dealings, and they would deceive the buyer, the seller. They would commit those kind of crimes as well. So Prophet Harun was sent to such people. He was an eloquent prophet. He's considered to be one of the better orators amongst prophets. He was very eloquent in his words, in his language, and that is Prophet Shuaib alayhi salam. It is also said Prophet Shuaib alayhi salam was the father of the two sisters, one of them who married Prophet Musa alayhi salam when he came to Madian as he fled Fir'aun. But that is an opinion that Allah knows best if that has any truth to that. Then we come to Prophet Harun alayhi salam. Prophet Harun alayhi salam is the brother of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. He was saved in the year, as it comes in the Quran, يُذَبِّحُونَ أَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيُونَ نِسَاءَكُمْ, that the year where the male children of the Banu Israel were killed and their women spared. So that's when Prophet Harun alayhi salam was born, because Fir'aun, with his policy of killing the children of the Banu Israel, the male child, because he knew of the prophecy that his demise would be through the hands of such that male child, which is going to be Musa alayhi salam. So he had this policy of killing the male children of Banu Israel. However, due to it had an effect that because the Banu Israel did all the low menial jobs, they had an issue with the supply chain in that, and there was not many males to actually do the work. So they granted that respite. The 1 year Harun al-Islam was born in that year. So Allah is He is the dominant over his slaves. Allah plans, and Allah is the blessed of planners, and how it came to be. So Harun al-Islam, he's one of the greatest helpers of Musa al-Islam, as he supplicated to Allah that he get an assistant, that Prophet Musa he has help through his family. So as it comes in the Quran, وَجْعَلْهُ وَزِيرًا مِنْ أَهْلِ, that make me an assistant from a family, Harun Akhi, my brother Harun al-Islam, Ushdud bihi azri, make enhance my strength by him, through him, وَأَشْرِكُ فِي أَمْرِي, and make him share in my tasks. So if to share in a task of a prophet, you have to be a prophet, and that's Prophet Harun al-Islam. So he was also considered a prophet. And then we come to Prophet Musa al-Islam. So Prophet Musa al-Islam, one of the greatest prophets, one of the from the big five, the ones of the overarching prophets, is Prophet Musa al-Islam. His story is not going to be justified in this episode on just mentioning the prophets who are mentioned in the Quran. It would need his own kind of to talk about the biography of the Prophet Musa al-Islam. However, just to touch upon some points that we should know as Muslims, as these are the prophets that we need to believe in, and we believe that they're prophets and sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Prophet Musa al-Islam, we know a lot more than any other prophets. Also, sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions a prophet more than others, as we know he's one of the greatest five prophets. And Prophet Musa al-Islam, he the whole story starts off that his mother was inspired by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to leave him in that Moses basket down the river. He grew up in Pharaoh's palace, so Pharaoh's own demise was coming through his own, he was upbringing his own demise in a way, how the irony. And Prophet Musa was someone who had great strength, and then one day when he was trying to sort an issue between the Banu Israel person, one of his people, and the Coptic Christians, Pharaoh's people, the issue. He's trying to stop that from the native Egyptians, the Coptics. Musa alayhi salam accidentally killed the Coptic Christian, had to flee. So he fled to Madian. This is where then he helped the two sisters, and then he actually served as, you know, for the dowry, the mahar, and actually served on that old man's farm, and he helped out, and then he married one of the two sisters. So the story carries on. You know, he went to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and in Saint Catherine and Mount Tour, and he saw the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because he wanted to see Allah, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said you cannot. So this is where he received his, you know, 10 commandments. He received his from Revelation as well, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His people took to worshipping a cow when he left them for 40 days, and you know, the story of that, and how the cow showed signs of life, because the Banu Israel, they wanted like a ilah, they wanted a god that was like had a body. So that was you know, Harun was in charge, and it was difficult for him to control these people, because the Sharia, the laws of the Prophet Musa was a harsh Sharia. That's when Prophet Isa came later on. It was made it easier, and it made to make it more facilitable, to be more to make it more easy, and to be able to facilitate for people on that. So Prophet Musa's Sharia was very strong and severe, and his people were strong and severe. So that's why, you know, it was like for like by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Harun could not you know, keep them. If he was to say something about all, you know, the things that were going on in the absence of Musa alayhi salam, he would have lost his people, and they were all separated. So he didn't say much. So then, yeah, Musa alayhi salam has a command to see Fir'aun, to speak to him, and to call him to oneness of Allah. And the whole story of the deceitful kind of serpents that are actually just ropes by the magicians that Fir'aun had gathered. But Prophet Musa with his asa, with his staff, Allah commanded him to throw it. He threw it, and it became a proper, real serpent, and it gobbled up all these fake, you know, these kind of pieces of rope that weren't really snakes. The magicians believed, but they were, you know, they were killed because of their belief, because they believed in the Rabb of Musa alayhi salam, the Lord of Musa. So Musa alayhi salam fled with his people. The parting of the sea, the Red Sea, is considered, you know, they fled Pharaoh and his army, but then they were crushed, the Pharaoh and his army. Musa alayhi salam's people, they went across to the other side, and they wanted to go and see the Holy Lands and Palestine. However, that was not going to be, because they did not fulfill the commands. They were mocked, and they would commit many kinds of sins and wrong things that they were denied that. So they were left to wander around the desert, as they were supposed to fight the giants who occupied Palestine at that time. They refused. So, you know, due to their not following commands, you know, they weren't able to see and step foot in the blessed lands. And Prophet Musa alayhi salam as well, with that. And when Prophet Musa then had to leave, he left Yeshua in charge, and he was then the next prophet after Prophet Musa. Wa sallallahu Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barak.